Hi, Tanya.
Hi, Anna.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm Anna,
I'm Tanya.
and we're the Paradise Patriots.
Aloha.
What's the scoops? Scoopsy scoops. What's up?
What's the scoops? Let's do a little video on some of the comments we got on our Democratic Party platform.
Oh, yes. Okay.
We got a lot of good comments, a lot
We
of
did.
stuff to talk about. My issue is that so many people say, well, the Democratic Party is the only game in town. And as long as we all think about that and perpetuate that, then it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, it didn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. It never had to be the only game in town. It's just kind of widely accepted for some reason that it is. And yet they're throwing up all over the land.
You're right. Right. And, I mean, so is that the point of that was that that's the only solution?
I know. And so that's such a small way of thinking.
Process?
So that worries me when I see people out there who really believe that.
That the Democratic Party is the only way that we can. So that kind of defies logic, doesn't it? Because
absolutely. It defies all sense of creativity and logic.
Well, yes. There you go. It's the party that's created the havoc that we have now. And I always say that. The Democratic Party is solely responsible for the destruction of our place because we've never had any other party here. So then actually what they're saying is that the party that has brought utter destruction to our place is the only solution we have.
Right. And I think one of my next biggest issue with the Democratic Party is that they don't acknowledge the occupied state.
You mean the party here, the
Democratic Party
of
here.
Hawaii.
Right.
So explain that more so I can understand what you're...
So, when we read through the different 16
points or whatever.
Right, points of the party platform, one of them was, regarding Native Hawaiians, was that they're going to bow down to basically the U.S. Constitution in that scenario. Mm-hmm. It was like, what? I don't know where that comes from.
It comes from...
Didn't come from a Native Hawaiian movement.
No, it comes from it comes from the push for sovereignty. Here's what it is. It's the sovereignty movement co-opted in the early 70s where it really took off, and it's always been there. I'm not saying that our Kapuna didn't do that with the annexation petition and all that. I'm not saying that, but the action that we have now that probably led to that statement started with the occupation of Kaho'olawe. Right, that was the first big push for sovereignty, and the Kanaka educating themselves because nobody did that.
Right.
That was all information that was found in documents and things like that that were in archives and all of that. So that was totally, probably a lot of it was the work of the Hawaiian Studies Department at the university, the language department that could go in and start to read the Hawaiian newspapers and all of that. But so then the issues for sovereignty started, and the Democratic Party co-opted that. Right, they co-opted it by the Akaka bill.
Right,
and
federal
right,
recognition.
and then that morphed into the latest hideous mutation of that, which is federal recognition.
Right.
So that's within the U.S. Constitution.
Right.
So that's where that came from. But the Democratic Party of Hawaii, the upper people, the senators and so forth, definitely understand.
Oh, they do. That was purposely written that way.
Right.
So that was a big red flag for me. And another...
It was a big 2x4.
It was a big quink, exactly. Only the most brave of our elected officials are willing to buck the system. And it takes more than balls. It takes more than saying no and knowing what's right and wrong.
Shows many may be more progressive than you may think. But if they don't feel we have their backs, it makes them much more... Oh, wait a minute. Isn't that a little backwards? Because aren't they supposed to have our back?
Yeah, they are supposed
when
to
we're
have our
out there on
backs.
the front line?
We're the people
We're the
living.
ones on the front line.
The community is at the front line.
Right. And I mean, for some of us, it's personally like we're personally out there on the front line.
Right.
people that I know that are on the front line have lost a lot. They've lost their jobs. They've lost a lot. They've lost a lot in their communities. You know, I mean, that could...
Or even they're just going to a school that's being sprayed with poison.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
but,
like,
you know,
everybody's in the community is on the front line.
For that issue, for the healthcare issue, or for... Yeah. So aren't they supposed to have our back?
They're supposed
so when
to
we're
have
on
our
the
backs.
right, when it comes to the point where we took a stand, we laid it all on the line, and we can use the people that were at that 4th of July event. They've put it out. I mean, even CME, right? $2,000 or what is it, $1,700 for the printed archive, so that she could properly address the contested case.
Right, it's a big amount of money.
So was anybody? And I don't know. I don't know if there was anyone there or not. So I'm not saying that. And I'm not really talking about our county council.
No,
because our county council
No.
are
we're kind of more talking about our state
and
U.S.
state and federal level representatives. I don't remember anybody writing a letter for her.
Mm-mm.
I don't remember any state senator giving testimony for her.
No, and my worry is that if elected officials are timid,
yeah, and
they're in the wrong business.
And having their
they have
back,
the wrong job.
They're supposed to have our back because they're creating the issues that we end up having to fight over.
Right.
They're creating
issues at this point.
So
right.
why would we have their back if they're creating? If every year they go to the legislature, and I think I've said this before, and we're gearing up for a gutting.
Yeah,
which is what we do.
It's what.
Then
right.
I think that statement's a little upside down. Understand that it's pretty rugged in the state.
Yeah.
I understand that. If they need our back,
I mean
it sincerely. I'm not being snarky. I mean it sincerely. Then you should come to the community and tell us what's going on so we can help you.
I think if elected officials really were timid and scared that people didn't have their backs, then they're not talking to their community on a regular basis.
Or they're not cut out for it.
Or they might not be cut
and
out for it.
I get it is hardcore.
It is.
It is hardcore politics. So just know that going in, and and both say both ways. It sounds initially to me that that's upside down because we're the ones that are taking the beating out in the community, trying to stop things that are pouring out of the legislation every session. And if you are in need of support, you should get a community group together, get a town hall meeting, or meet with the small group and let us know what's happening. Or do it anonymously or whatever you have to do to let us know that you need help, and we'll help you.
We want to get the word out about everything we
any
possibly
kind of corruption,
can.
anything.
We want to help.
Yeah, any badgering or bullying or whatever. And it's not, like I said, it's hardcore anyway, so.
With all due respect to people who've been involved for many decades. And if you consider yourself progressive, then you need to really relook at how you were trying to get stuff done because it wasn't working. And so let's try to find new ways, new people to bring in the new messaging. It's got to be louder. It's got to be crazier. We saw how the Tea Party took over the GOP.
Exactly.
You can't be timid. You can't be quiet. I don't care what role you're playing. Mine doesn't do that. Mine's not a touch screen.
Nice computer.
So my hope is that people who are really willing to speak up,
like Buddy.
Buddy's willing to speak up. Anyway, I just also want to tell people keep commenting. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it was obviously really well thought out, and I have great respect for people who do the work. That doesn't mean I'm going to agree with everything.
Don't need to.
I still exactly, and I think I know some things where I am are I'm not going to backpedal on that, and I hold the Democratic Party responsible for the disaster that Hawaii has become, and their legislative session this year was offensive.
It's super fail.
Yeah, epic failure, fail. Super failure. In terms of saying that the Democratic Party is the only game in town, and we've talked about this before. Any movement that have all had to implement a third party to really start to change things. You saw it in Greece, you saw it in Italy, you see it in Spain, you see it in Scotland. So I don't know what the answers are, but I don't discount a third party. Especially now. I think that's
I-
a dangerous statement to make, especially now.
I agree.
Because you have a void now.
Very
People
limited
don't want to
vision.
be in the Democratic Party. You had 14 million people, and that was back last year. So we don't know
Right.
where we are now as the Democratic Party continues to shoot themselves
Right.
in multiple areas every day.
Right.
So
It's
people
true.
they don't have anywhere to go. Obviously, Democrats don't want to go to the Republican Party, and the Republican
Correct.
Party is so far right. That's not even
They're
viable.
so far right, they're wrong.
Yeah. So I think that's a mistake to say that that mechanism is the only mechanism that's viable. I don't
agree.
agree with that at all.
I don't, because I also believe in the people. And
Yeah.
so I believe in the people's ability to organize, and I believe in the people's ability to create something new.
Yep. Yep.
And I don't think the new is going to be falling in one or the other of the camps. I think it's going to be interesting.
And especially, when you look at community politics or island politics, it's not unreasonable to think that a Green Party candidate wouldn't become governor.
I agree.
That's not out of the picture.
I agree.
It depends on the mindset and the consciousness of who they're representing. And the people of our state, historically, Kanakas were very progressive. Kalakaua was a progressive. Liliuokalani was a progressive. So that is in the DNA, and it's in the Aina of this place. Doing the things that our people did, through the period of annexation, all of that is extremely progressive. So Aloha Aina is progressive. So I wouldn't discount that. I think
I agree.
if the right combination of things came up, whether it's, a really super progressive group that got together and started a progressive wing of the Democratic Party, or Aloha Aina Party, or the Green Party. Yeah.
I agree. Don't
Here's what
discount
I'm
it.
gonna say. I think it's dangerous to continue to rely on the Democratic Party.
Absolutely.
That's the mistake that you made with Hillary, for God's sake, and now look
Exactly.
what you had.
Exactly. Look what
That's a
happened.
mistake. It's a mistake
And-
to not think that people won't.
And the Democratic Party, the DNC was warned.
Yeah,
They knew that this was a very viable outcome. They didn't want to believe it.
right.
And
And we have really our.
that's a shame.
It is, and our own Democratic Party is isolating Tulsi.
Yeah.
Right? Our own Democratic Party is doing that, and our other Democratic representatives, Brian and
Cory
Maisie.
Booker and Brian Schatz are considered progressives.
Yeah. And they're buddies
They're
now.
not.
They're
Oh.
buds.
Sorry.
No, but I
That
meant,
was
you know,
snarky.
that, well, and they're not,
They're
the
not
kind of,
progressive.
yeah, and Maisie, what they're doing, they're following,
They're following their democratic orders.
Yep.
And the
that's
big party.
dangerous.
Well, yeah, because the think tanks behind all of those scripts and all of those ideals and vision for where this country is going are not historically democratic positions. At least not what Democrats think that they're aligning with. Those think tanks are very conservative. They're warmongering. They want us to believe that the whole world is horrible, that the world is not an abundant place, that people are
Scarcity,
inherently bad,
yeah.
that there's scarcity of all natural resources.
And we have no
everything.
power because,
And we have no power.
right.
We need them. And the truth is, those
And they can't
parties
get
need the
anything
people.
done. Yeah.
The parties don't exist without the
Yeah.
people. So for me, that was a
Yeah,
little
I think,
off,
and
but-
that it's a dangerous
But I
foundation to
understand
stand
because
on.
that's been pre-programmed in people's minds that that's how it is. But we need to deoccupy our minds. We need to start thinking bigger and more differently, and because we can create what we want. It's a matter of people unifying at the base
Right.
without the party to separate us.
Right.
Unify at the issues. Unify at the platform level, at the base. The platform and the issues are where we should put a lot of emphasis personally. So
And
then we'll know who
yeah.
we're unifying with.
And the 16, and we talked about that, the 16, I guess, position statements or whatever that is with the platform should have solutions written into them.
Yeah.
And
Because once you start getting the devils in the
Yeah,
details, like
exactly.
I say, you'll see
This is
where
how-
they're incongruent with,
right.
another
and then
one of them.
you're not going to hear that, well, we can't afford that. But if you build it into the
Right.
platform, it's
I
like,
don't.
here's,
That's another thing I don't want to hear.
yeah,
We can't afford that.
here's
or that'll
where
never happen.
here's where the funds can come from.
Yeah.
And then have the steps to, and then they have no excuse.
Right.
Because when I looked through it, there are solutions to every one of those issues.
Yeah. it's about prioritizing
Right,
our
and
values.
not giving our resources away for free.
Right, but that's where normally these legislators prioritize. That's where they fall short every single time. The people in the communities are cut. We're down here on the prioritization, and the development is up here. The lobbyists are up
The
here.
military.
The businesses are up here.
Yeah, and then
And so let's just encourage more discussion.
absolutely.
Regarding the political parties. We don't have a lot of time before the midterm elections, so people need to get organized. They need to find candidates, and they need to know what issues they're talking about. Because I'm definitely not voting per party.
I never did, but
No.
yeah.
I'm voting on people who really see what needs to happen.
I have to say, and I do hope that other people come out, because I've also not been very excited about the choices we have. Just saying.
Just saying.
So thank you for the comment. It really was it was stimulating, and
Absolutely.
we thought about it for several days and talked about it before we decided to do this. So my cut you low, it was good.
Thank you. Aloha.
Yeah. So,
I'm Tanya.
and I'm Anna.
We're the Paradise Patriots. Aloha.